So let's back up. We're going to start from here. Where the explainer, that Sheikh Al-Jabarti, starts to explain the Musnad. And how is the explainer doing so? By taking the original text and breaking it apart and inserting the explanation in between. So the original text, which is a poem, as you know, those are the words of the bold words in the parentheses. And let me just remind you too. Originally, we're going to say the author. Author means whom here? The one who authored the metin, author of the metin. The metin here means the original text we are explaining, which is the Bayakuni poem. That's the metin. Metin here means text. Text here means the text that we are explaining. Yes. So the one who authored the metin, we're going to call him the author sometimes. Yeah, I mean, usually that's what we mean. We say the author. And then there is the explainer. He's called Sharih in Arabic, the Sharih. The author is called the Mu'allif. The Mu'allif, the author. And sometimes they call him the Matin because he's the one who made the Metin. The Matin. And there's another one involved here. He is the explainer, the Sharih. Okay. So the Sharih is Sheikh Al-Jabarti, rahimahullah. But you must pay attention because it is possible to sometimes call the explainer the author. It is possible to call the explainer the author. The scholars do that and might come off my tongue too. So what it means is that you have to follow. Know these two people and that this word author is interchangeable between the actual matin and the sharih, the one who wrote the text and the one who wrote the explanation. I hope that's clear for you. If you have a question, feel free, please. So the explainer says, but by breaking apart the words of the author, والمسند مبتدا المتصل خبر. Okay. So the musnad is the connected hadith. But not only connected, that's not all. But that is a complete sentence right there. What we really want to do is understand the text, the poem. Subhanallah, for some reason, my iPad's not letting me display both windows at the same time. Maybe I need another update. But it just happened with the update. So I've been trying to, I can't seem to get it. So the explainer's goal is to make you understand what the author said. So you really want to look at this like it's what the author said. All of it is what the author said. The explainer's just trying to clarify for you what the author said. So what is the author saying? He's saying the Musnad hadith is the connected hadith, the one with the continuous chain. Al-Musnad Mubtada, that's subject of the sentence. The Musnad is the subject of the sentence. Al-Muttasil is the predicate. So the Musnad is the Muttasil. And you need to know the words, the hadith words. I am confident that you are more familiar with the hadith words now, even though, yeah, I feel confident that you are more familiar. So Musnad is the Muttasil, but not merely Muttasil. المتصل خبر مضاف الإسنادي المتصل الإسنادي مضاف إليه من إضافة الوصف إلى مرفوعه من راويه حتى أي إلى المصطفى ولم يبن. So the muttasil is the hadith with a continuous chain. Not merely that, but also it's a continuous chain from its narrator until, meaning up to, Al-Mustafa, Al-Mustafa, the selected one, in particular, not another one. Meaning this is a prophetic hadith we are talking about here. We are here talking about a prophetic hadith with a continuous chain. That's what a musnad is. وَلَمْ يَبِنْ أي لم ينقطع, and that chain did not break, was not severed. So when he says وَلَمْ يَبِنْ, which means it was not severed, the chain was not severed, that's emphasis. That's emphasis because he already said it's muttasil al-isnad. Al-muttasil al-isnad has continuous chain. So after saying it has a continuous chain, he doesn't have to say that the chain didn't break. So by saying also that the chain didn't break, then he is being emphatic. That's the type of thing the poet needs to do. If this were not poetry, then maybe the author wouldn't have said that because there's no need to. But in the poetry, sometimes you need to do things because you have to keep the beat. So sometimes you need to produce an extra word or the like. وهي جملة حالية مؤكدة لمعنى الاتصال أتى بها لتكملة البيت. Yes, Sheikh Al-Jabarti said what I said. Alhamdulillah. It is an emphatic sentence. It's in the position of an adverb, this sentence. وَلَمْ يَبِنْ, and it did not sever. Without severing, that's what it means. Without severing. It's an adverb. So the musnad is the hadith with the connected chain from its narrator back to Al-Mustafa without severing. So that it will be a hal. Adverb. And then he says it's an adverb, so, and also it's mu'akkida, it's emphasizing, it's intensifying the ittisal, the connectivity that's already been stated. Ata biha li takmilatil bayt. The author produced it. He produced this extra word for emphasis to complete the line, of poetry. So he said, I'll write it out here, inshallah. والمسند المتصل الإسناد من راويه حتى المصطفى ولم يبن This is the line of poetry. So he's saying the Musnad is the one with the connected chain from its narrator حتى المصطفى until al-Mustafa. Right there, the meaning is complete. The Musnad is the one with the continuous chain from its narrator back to al-Mustafa. That's complete meaning there. But since he's writing a poem, or yani, producing a poem, then he needs to keep the beat. He has to complete the line. So he added something. وَلَمْ يَبِنْ without severing. وصاحب الحال هو الإسناد. Yes. وصح مجيء الحال من المضاف إليه لعمل المضاف فيه. That's interesting. So that's fine. We don't have to talk about this right here. واختلف العلماء في تعريفه. Now the scholars have, now this is Sharih talking. The explainer now is talking. He told you what the author said, and he clarified his sentence for you. Now he wants to give you more information. واختلف العلماء في تعريفه. These scholars have differed about its definition. The definition of al-Musnad, the hadith called Musnad. Al-Musnad. Which then that means what? That means that what the author gave us in his poem is a saying. Is it the standard saying or what? Let's see. Sheikh Al-Jabarti says, فالذي ذهب إليه الحاكم وغيره وارتضاه الحافظ ابن حجر هو ما ذكره الناظم. That which Al-Hakim, which was the way of Al-Hakim, the madhab of Al-Hakim, the madhab of Imam Al-Hakim, in terms of the wording here, and others, and what is acceptable to Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. It's what the author mentioned, the Nawzim. So he's calling the author the Nawzim. Nawzim means the composer. So you have some words here. You have the Mu'allif, the author. You have the Matin, the one who made the Matin, that's the author. In this case, the author's text is a nazm. In this case, the author's text is a nazm. That means composition, a poetic composition, something with a pace, a beat, a rhythm. So he is Nawzim. He's the Nawzim. He's the composer. So since we're explaining a poem, then if I translate what's here, I'll call him the composer, and you'll know what that means. These scholars differed about the definition of the Musnad. The position of Al-Hakim and what is acceptable by or to Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani is what the composer mentioned. Okay. That's clear. Who's Al-Hakim? Who is Al-Hakim? Tell me something, please. Identify Al-Hakim for me, please. Someone. 5, 4.
The author of Al-Mustadrak.
Correct. The author of Al-Mustadrak, which is one of the books of Sahih. Good. And if you were to say, he is the Sheikh of Al-Bayhaqi, I would have accepted that too. Yes. Thank you. Barakallahu feek. The teacher of Al-Bayhaqi. Okay, and you know who Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani is? You say, is one of the books of Sahih. What does that mean exactly? Meaning, there are books that are dedicated for Sahih Hadiths. There are books dedicated for Sahih Hadiths. Like, Sahih Muslim or Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. What else? Sahih, we're not going to call it Sahih al-Hakim. What are we going to call it? What? We're going to call it Al-Mustadrak. Also, what else? No, not Sunan Ibn Majah. That's not a Sahih book. A book of Sahih Hadiths dedicated only to Sahih authentic Hadith. Ibn Hibban, Sahih, Ibn Hibban. Yes. One more, please. There's still others, though. Not Muwatta. Five, 4. Not Abu Dawood. Not
What was the question?
One more book of Sahih I have list here. There's still more than these.
Sahih Ibn Hibban. Oh, you got it.
We have that. 3. Not At-Tirmidhi. 2. 1. Ibn Khuzaymah. In that order, those are the most authentic books of Hadith. Okay. So, what the composer mentioned is what Al-Hakim says is the definition of Al-Musnad, and also what Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani accepts. Okay, yeah, we're going to go by that. This definition we're going to say. What about other definitions? That's in Zorqani's explanation. Let's stick to Sheikh Al-Jabarti for now. فَبَيْنَهُ, he says, rahimahullah, the Sharih, the explainer says, فَبَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ الْمَرْفُوعِ الَّذِي قَبْلَهُ وَالْمُتَّصِلِ الَّذِي بَعْدَهُ عُمُومٌ وَخُصُوص. And so, between the Musnad Hadith and the marfu' hadith that has already been mentioned. There are things in common. And between the Musnad hadith and the Muttasil hadith that shall be mentioned, there are things in common. Yes. Why? Because the Musnad is a combination of those two. Yani, like you know. You have a type of hadith called marfu', attributed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Without regard to whether the chain is continuous or not, without regard to whether it's authentic or not, attributed to the Prophet, marfu'. We talked about that one already in the poem. And you have another type of hadith called muttasil. This means connected. Connected. So when these two types merge, the result is called Musnad, a marfu' hadith with a continuous chain. I'm writing Arabic a lot. So you have muttasil, muttasil. You have marfu', what's attributed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When these two types merge, the result is the musnad. مطلق فكل مسند مرفوع وكل مسند متصل ولا عكس. Therefore, every musnad hadith is a marfu' hadith, and every musnad hadith is a muttasil hadith. You're following, inshallah. Every musnad hadith is a hadith attributed to the Prophet. And every musnad hadith is a hadith with a continuous chain. But it's not the reverse. Not every hadith attributed to the Prophet is a musnad hadith, because it might not have a continuous chain. And not every hadith with a continuous chain is a musnad hadith, because it might not be attributed to the Prophet. Sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa ansarihi wa azwajihi wa dhurriyatihi wa ahli baytihi wa ikhwanihi nabiyyin wa sallam. Okay, I think that's clear. ولا عكس فيهما إذ المرفوع ينظر فيه إلى حال المتن, because the marfu' hadith, the prophetic, the one that's attributed to the Prophet, and what is investigated, or yani, what it pertains to, or what its subject is merely the text. Only the text, not the chain. Is it attributed to the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam? مع قطع النظر عن الإسناد, regardless of the chain. اتصل أم لا, whether the chain connected or not. والمتصل ينظر فيه إلى حال الإسناد, and the muttasil, the hadith with the continuous chain, It pertains to the chain. مع قطع النظر عن المتن. Regardless of the text. مرفوعا كان أو موقوفا, whether were. يعني a hadith can be متصل, connected, whether it were raised up to the prophet or stopped at a companion. Or stopped at a companion. He didn't say or more. والمسند ينظر فيه إلى الحالين. As for the musnad hadith, both cases, both situations are investigated. فيجمع بين شرطي الرفع والاتصال, and therefore both conditions of being elevated up to the prophet and having a connected chain are merged for a musnad hadith. Allahu yarhamu Shaykh al-Jabarti. I really like this explanation. It's very smooth, it's very easy, and it is very beneficial. And it really shows his mastery to be able to convey the meaning that he conveys with the simplicity that he does here. Someone else would say what he is saying in much more complicated way. Now, there's also something that is good to know here. I'll add for you. Sheikh al-Jabarti didn't mention it here, rahimahullah, which is that the word musnad has another usage, another hadith usage. Musnad has another hadith usage, which is that there's a type of hadith book called Musnad. A type of hadith book called Musnad. What type of hadith book is that? That's when the author arranges his hadith book according to the narrating companions. According to the narrating companions. That means not according to the topics of the hadiths. So if you have a musnad, you're not going to look for chapter of wudu, chapter of salat, chapter of funeral, etc., etc. Rather, if you're studying a musnad, you're going to look for the chapter of Abu Bakr and the chapter of Abu Hurairah and the chapter of Aisha and the chapter of Anas ibn Malik, etc. That's called musnad. Who has a musnad? You know who has a musnad? Who has a musnad? Fine. Imam Ahmad, yes. Musnad Ahmad has nice ring to it. Musnad Ahmad. So you're not going to be just a page flipper in a musnad. Maybe you would be, but you really need to study a musnad because the topics are, one might say, compromised for the sake of arranging the hadiths according to the narrating companions. So that means the topics are going to be all mixed up in there. So that's why you would have to study a musnad really to know what's in there. Not like a book where the hadiths are arranged according to fiqh chapters, and then you just want to find a hadith about wudu or a hadith about ghusl or a hadith about marriage or something. Okay. So let's take a look at the metin here. Here's the matan of Al-Bayquniyah. And Yani, if any of you have been consistent in this and you find it interesting, then memorize this poem, especially if you're not memorizing anything else. You should memorize something. That's that's something Muslims do. So have a text that you memorize, something. مختصر أبو شجاع البيقونية الأجر الرومية, something. Even one, that would be nice. Maybe you'll feel even more like a Muslim if you do it. Insha'Allah ta'ala. So أبدأ بالحمد. أبدأ بالحمد مصليا على محمد خير نبي أرسلا. I start with the hamd as one making salat upon Muhammad, the best prophet sent. وذي من أقسام الحديث عدة. And these are amongst the divisions of hadith, counted. That's bare translation. And these, وذي, and these are min aqsam al-hadith, amongst the categories of hadith, iddah, counted, enumerated. وَكُلُّ وَاحِدٍ أَتَى وَحَدَّهُ, and each one came with its definition. أولها الصحيح وهو ما اتصل إسناده ولم يشذ أو يعل. The first of them, the first of those categories, is the sound hadith. And it is what? It's chain connected, or it is that which it's chain connected without deviating or obscure defect. If you want to ask what any of that means, feel free. And if you know what it means, then congratulations, Mubarak. يرويه عدل ضابط عن مثله. An upright, accurate one narrates it from his like. That means everyone in the chain is upright and accurate. And what's meant here is that each one heard it. That's the intended meaning here. Each one heard it. This talk here does not include ijazah, mere ijazah, which is permission to narrate without hearing. That's not included in this talk here. معتمد في ضبطه ونقله. He is reliable, this upright, precise one. He is reliable in his accuracy and his documentation. Sheikh Al-Jabarti, he gave some nice benefits here in explaining this composition, this nazm. So he's saying, Sheikh Al-Jabarti is saying that what the composer is saying is that the sound hadith is narrated by an adl, upright one, who is dabit, accurate. Okay. There's a signal in here. Sheikh Al-Jabarti is telling us there's a signal in here when he says dabit. a signal to something though that is outside of the sound hadith. So in these lines here, it's line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. In lines 3 and 4, the author is defining the Sahih Hadith in particular, not more than Sahih Hadith. But he did give a signal to something that's outside of Sahih Hadith. Because remember, there's two types of accurate ones. There's the one with the perfect accuracy or complete accuracy, which is the chest accuracy, which is basically photographic memory. And there's the one with the record keeping accuracy. Accurate record keeper. That one is not the one who's meant for the authentic hadith, for the sahih hadith, when we say dabit. When we say dabit, as part of the definition of sahih hadith, we mean in particular the one with the perfect accuracy, that one with the photographic memory. We don't mean the one with the accurate records. But, so you might be saying, well, where's the signal to the one, the accurate record keeper here? That's outside of Sahih. Here, when he says, وَنَقْلِهِ مُعْتَمَدٌ فِي ضَبْطِهِ وَنَقْلِهِ. This one, this dabit, this adl dabit, this upright, precise one, he is mu'tamad, reliable. You can take from him. في ضبطه, in his precision. That's if ضبط here means the perfect precision, then he's reliable in that. His mistakes are rare. And if he does not have the perfect precision, then he is reliable in his naqlihi, in his record keeping. But then it's not going to be a sahih hadith. So Sheikh Al-Jabarti is mentioning that here. Rahimahullah. وَالْحَسَنُ الْمَعْرُوفُ طُرْقًا. And the Hasan, the fair hadith, is the one with known pathways. وَغَدَتْ رِجَالُهُ. And its men. وَغَدَتْ رِجَالُهُ لَا كَالصَّحِيحِ اشْتَهَرَتْ. أي وَغَدَتْ رِجَالُهُ اشْتَهَرَتْ. وَغَدَتْ رِجَالُهُ اشْتَهَرَتْ. أي صارت رجاله اشتهرت. لا كالصحيح، أي لكن لا كالصحيح، أي لا كرجال الصحيح. And its men became famous. The Hasan, the hadith that's Hasan, it is the one with known pathways, and its men became famous, but not like the men of the Sahih narration. Okay, we've covered this many times. Inshallah, you know what that means. And you should know here that this is not a perfect definition of Hasan Hadith. This definition of the author here, of the author, the composer, it is lacking. So review your notes for correct definition of Hasan Hadith. I just want to quickly review the metin with you right now before we stop. وَكُلُّ مَا عَنْ رُتْبَةِ الْحُسْنِ قَصُرٍ. And all of what? Below the level of fairness falls short. All of what's below the level of fairness falls short. فَهُوَ ضَعِيفٌ. It is weak. وَهُوَ أَقْسَامًا كَفُرٍ. And it is in divisions multiplied. I wouldn't say many here. It is in divisions many. Many for me is weak here. Multiplied, because you say multiply means like 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 4 is 16. That's multiply. Why multiply? Why is the weak hadith in divisions multiplied? We covered that. Review it, inshallah. If you want to ask, you can ask. وَمَا أُضِيفَ لِلنَّبِيِّ الْمَرْفُوعُ, and whatever is attributed to the Prophet is marfu'. وَمَا لِتَابِعٍ هُوَ الْمَقْطُوعُ, and anything for a successor is maqtu'. وَالْمُسْنَدُ الْمُتَّصِلُ الْإِسْنَادِ مِنْ رَاوِيهِ حَتَّى الْمُصْطَفَى وَلَمْ يَبِنْ, and the musnad, that's where we are today, it is al-muttasil al-isnad, the one with the connected chain, min rawihi, from its narrator, hatta al-mustafa, all the way back to the selected one, walam yabin, without severing. So that's far as we got today. We're going to stop there, inshallah. Lines what? 5, 6, 7, 8. Any questions?